Hey, brunchers. Today's episode will feature some heavy conversation around sexual assault. We love you and please listen with care.
This is Brunch, Blaze, and Ballot,
Where we eat, elevate, and talk about
media trends from the past,
the present
and the future.
from a Black perspective.
I'm your host, Roger Turner,
And I'm your host, Alexis Bertrand.
so sit back
Spark up
and let's get into it. Hey, Alexis.
Hey, Roger, baby.
How was your brunch?
Okay, so listen, clearly it's summer for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been living a very kind of like late night life. But anyway, today's brunch was like, I really wanted I wanted a hot dog, hamburger, and some potato salad. I was just really craving some potato salad. Like I had like my Ruffles chips. It was literally like my old little Southern, quick little Southern comfort. Even made a little not pork and beans. Is it pork and beans? What is it? No.
Pork and beans.
Not pork and beans. Not pork and beans. What do you call them? Baked beans.
Baked beans.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
like, girl,
Not pork and beans. I took it back.
With the hot dogs in
With
it?
the hot dogs in it. You hear that shit? Baby. Ooh, that was a go-to meal. Don't play.
I had pork and beans since they had it as a side in church. Remember when pork and beans was a
It
side?
was a whole side in church. I used to eat that shit. That shit
Fried
was so
chicken
good.
with a side of spaghetti and pork and beans.
Pork and beans. When they had macaroni and cheese, it was a special Sunday. It was
Right.
a special,
With a little square salad.
I'm so mad at you for that. That's the best. Anyway, how was your brunch?
Good. I had a smoothie from the little smoothie spot by my house, and it was delicious. On a scale of 1 to 10, how high are you?
We know we in the 8.
You in the 8s?
Baby, I know that. I know these glasses I'm wearing, they're going to get low in a minute.
I'm definitely only at a 5 because I'm just getting started.
At the 5.
I'm only at a 5.
Well, girl, don't worry. I will wait for you.
We got plenty of time. It's coming. It's definitely climbing up here. You want to tell the people what we're talking about today?
Yes, I want to tell the people what we're talking about. So, digging into the realm of media trends, brunchers, there has been a lot going on that you just can't unsee. And all of the things that Roger and I love to watch, you just can't unsee all the cases with these men in power and doing all these just horrendous, salacious things.
Ugh.
It really drove us to like think about this idea around consent.
Yeah.
And looking at media that takes what consent looks like and how it plays out when it's upheld well and when it's not.
Yeah, I think there's two kinds of, many kind of media, but on the stance of consent, I think there's art that considers consent and there's art that absolutely doesn't.
Yeah, perfect way to put it. And so, looking at that, today's episode is entitled "Don't Forget the F.R.I.E.S."
Don't forget it. And then we'll explain later what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into it, let's talk about what inspired us for this episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you guys don't know about what's happening with the two different cases, Sean Diddy Combs
Mm-hmm.
and with Tyler Perry. All right. So both of these big cases are around sexual harassment, sexual assault. We all saw the video with Cassie and Diddy, and if you haven't filled the news. So just this recent verdict that just came out didn't go well. Not in my sense, but in the trial, criminal federal case that was brought against Sean Combs, and he was up for racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution.
Yes.
And so those 4 counts, he was only found guilty for the 1 count of transportation for prostitution. Right now, they're still waiting for sentencing. I believe
For those 2 charges, for the 2 that he was found guilty of, the non-guilty, I believe the penalty would have literally
almost life
in prison. So he was found not guilty for the more intense, harsher charges, if you will. However, these 2 that he was found guilty of can come with a sentence up to 20 years.
Yeah, so up to 20 years. So we're not sure if that's going to happen, if he's going to get full term. Or any.
Like there is speculation around that.
Right now, I'm not optimistic around the sentencing and whether Sean will actually get any time. Well, because of two things. The jury was 12 people, only 4 of those jurors were women.
Right.
So 8 men, 4 women. And the jury wasn't sequestered. The jury,
which I found really interesting. Like, that's crazy.
So,
like,
during the trial, I had been watching like court TV and all of these different things, and like everyone giving their spin of whether the evidence was strong enough or not, and like all of these discussions. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, so the jurors are allowed to watch this. The jurors are allowed to listen to all these pundits weigh in about whether the evidence was strong enough.
Which I thought was absurd, because how are they supposed to be fair and impartial
when they're constantly being influenced,
bombarded?
I thought this was wild. That was the federal case. Hopefully, a civil case will come up.
Yes, there is a litany of them that are out there.
Yeah, hopefully we can go down the civil route. Because there's more chances of a conviction with the civil route. If you don't know, guys, if you don't understand, there's a different standard of proof between a criminal and federal case. And the standard of proof for a federal case is beyond a reasonable doubt, which it is very hard to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
So I don't know if we know the numbers of that was shared yet, but given that definition, the reason why he was found not guilty could have been down to one person, right? So if 11 people out of those 12 said, we absolutely see that he is guilty of this without a reasonable doubt, if one person says, I don't believe that, then he's found not guilty.
Right.
So I want them to know, like, it comes down to
they all have to. Everyone has to agree. Everyone has to agree on the verdict. Period. And they will have to stay there and argue it out until there is a.
Sorry to point that out there. And like, and before we get too far, like, and not for nothing, even if he were to go away for 20 years, let's say it was the maximum. Let's say he got that. Let's say the judge was like, you know what, 20 years prison, boom, right? It's not just about, I know some people might feel a justification, but I can't imagine that for those who were directly affected by this, like, to not be found guilty on some of the bigger charges, because from their minds, right, like that legitimately absolutely felt like that. And it absolutely, once again, to hear this, to not be found guilty on all charges just reinforces just how still women, particularly women, don't feel safe around speaking up this way.
I looked up some statistics because I'm a
I love a good number now.
I'm a research girly.
Come on now.
So out of every 1,000 cases of sexual assault that are reported, an estimated 57 result in arrest, and only 11 are referred for prosecution. And out of that 11, only 7 lead to a felony conviction.
Wait. It's not 11%, not 7%. So, that's wild. But say that one more time.
So out of every 1,000, 57 of that 1,000 end in arrest.
57.
11 of that 1,000 are referred to for prosecution, and only 7 of that 1,000 lead to a felony conviction. So the conviction rate for sexual assault is very, very low.
It's beyond, like, y'all, we talking like 0.0001, like some ridiculous percent.
Yeah. So,
that's fucking
and then when you compare that to 20% of American women have said they have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime.
So just right, if you didn't share like not one more statistic, right, just put those two statistics next to them to each other. Now let's add on a little sprinkles on top. If one of the people in this case happens to be a male, cisgender, and very, very wealthy, you add that on top. And then when people ask the question, what took person A so long?
Well, yeah,
it's like you can see it right here. You can see it
right there.
Right there, why.
The conviction rate is very low. And you know what? I want to be clear.
The arrest rate, I know, not even the conviction rate. The arrest rate
is already
alone.
Low enough. Alone is low enough. Before we get into our stances on Diddy, just on how we feel about that verdict, let's move on to Tyler Perry. So
yes,
Tyler Perry's case is a $206 million lawsuit which is a civil case. It'll so the difference between the federal case, a criminal case and a civil case is that the standard of proof is very different. So for a civil case is a preponderance of the evidence, meaning it's more likely than not that the claim is true.
Yes.
That's all they have to prove, that it's more likely than not.
Versus without a reasonable doubt.
So the $206 million lawsuit has been filed against Tyler Perry by actor Derek Dixon. And Derek Dixon's case, he is alleging sexual assault, harassment, professional retaliation, and a form of behavior, a pattern of behavior that exhibits quid pro quo, meaning that I will give you this thing if you give me that thing. So...
And the flip side of that, if you don't give me this thing,
right,
you will lose that thing and that thing and that thing and that, depending on the person.
That's why they are pointing out two different things, because those are two different charges. The
Yes.
professional retaliation and the quid pro quo.
Yeah.
The quid pro quo is the promise of, I will give you this thing.
Yes. And the retaliation.
And the retaliation
There
is,
it is.
if you don't give me this thing, I'm going to take this thing away.
Right.
So yeah, you and I both read all 46 pages of this thing, and it sounds horrible.
Yes.
And two things stood out to me. You remember the whole viral video of Christian Keys talking about his experience with a black billionaire in entertainment that he would not name, but we all knew it was Tyler Perry.
Right, because he is the only black billionaire in entertainment. Well, male, right?
I mean... I don't believe he's the only black billionaire.
How many black male billionaires in entertainment? Even if it's like there's more, immediately I'm going to go to Tyler Perry.
Well, I think everyone went to Tyler Perry because we knew that they worked together.
Right. So it's like, how many other black male billionaires have you worked with? Like, stop playing.
So he goes on to say in the case, the descriptions of his incidents of harassment and sexual assault mirrored what Christian Keys said his experience was.
Yes. And he had receipts, y'all. So,
Derek had text messages.
And it's so, what was wild about that, first they started out as like a drunken text, like a, hey, what you doing? And da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it gets into there's this conversation around sexual proclivity and how that relates to your own spirituality. And that is what definitely triggered me.
Yeah.
I get that.
I think it had a lot to do with how Derek was managing his relationship with Tyler. So
absolutely.
And interested in being intimate with Tyler Perry at all.
I agree.
And then when conversations or things started getting weird, instead of just saying flat out no or pushing this person away, because this is a person that could change your career and
has changed
your career, and that pissing this person off could lose your job. This person lose your opportunities. This person has already explained that that's what he does, is that he says in a text message that he loves killing a motherfucker off a show.
Yep.
That these people, he has explained that he's done this before. He has the text messages to prove it. And so
and that was also damning to me, like the timelines of
the timelines were there, and that Derek is saying in this deposition is that he's saying he would explain to him that he didn't have sex, or that he wasn't a sexual person, or that he wasn't interested in sex. That was the thing that he would, which I don't know if that's not true or not. That could very well be true. Derek Dixon could be asexual. We don't know that, but this is a thing that.
But it's not illogical for us to think that he would say that in order to protect himself.
Right. He could also be just saying that in order to protect himself.
Like, I'm not down for that. I'm not for that.
And that this is just a thing that I'm not.
And then he could have said, like, well, I'm really on my walk with God.
Right.
And God wouldn't want that for me. And so therefore I could see him saying, like, you can still be sexually free and have your faith in God.
It's a way of turning him down without insulting him.
Yes. And my point is that in Tyler using that to, like,
still trying to push.
You must be locked into something. You can still be open and free sexually.
His conversation was constantly trying to tear down that barrier between them. And so Yeah, it was just like all kinds of weird stuff that just made me feel like I believe Tyler said these things. Like, these don't sound like this old ass man using a word like, you don't see that stud. How old are you?
Yeah.
This definitely makes me feel like your old behind absolutely said this,
If you
Tyler.
don't get somewhere and sat down.
Tyler. And then like the whole description of like the assault of like slipping into bed with him and then like and groping him. All of this feels very like old school 70s, 80s porn that you probably was looking at on the sly.
And it's like these kinds of stories. I'm like, if that was me, I would have just jumped up and bucked up and right? But like when you just think about it, right? This man just slipped into my bed and who literally has the keys to the kingdom and has expressed how he likes to use and wield that power with the keys to the kingdom, and now he's got his hand on my dick.
And you know what?
I'm not trying to say that everybody's gonna just jump up and do that. But I want people also to understand.
At the same time, these same people that are constantly jumping up talking about, I would do this and why didn't he do this? Half of y'all don't even want to send your food back to the kitchen at the restaurant. Half of y'all.
Oh, good point.
Half of y'all don't want to tell the barber when your lineup is wrong.
Right.
Half of y'all don't have the courage to stand up for yourselves.
You didn't put my
ketchup
ketchup in the bag. I'm not even trying to be funny.
Half of y'all don't know how to stand up for yourselves and don't know what you would do in that situation. So stop.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's pull back on that one.
It had to be. My point is, it had to be terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then had to be terrifying to make the choice to stay in it. Whatever that is, right? Like, how do you, like, the mind just goes where the mind goes. So I find it, I also want to point out, like, this isn't about like something that happened like in 6 months and was done. This is like over a long period of time.
He had to move to California.
Like, damn.
He had to move, which fortunately, because he moved to California, is why he's able to file this case.
Yeah.
Because California law gave him the time period to be able to file this lawsuit. There is no trial date set.
No.
If there will be a trial, it will probably be in late like 2026. In the meantime, there is expanding information for evidence, possible depositions, recording interviews under oath. There's going to be a number of things, discovery, the whole process that has to happen between now and before a trial happens.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there is a possibility of them settling out of court.
Right. And that's always there too.
And so I believe that this will end up in a settlement, undisclosed amount, undisclosed reasoning for settlement. Redacted. We'll probably find out very late in the game. If that does not happen, we'll see if this goes to a criminal case. Probably not, because it would be really hard to
that
prove.
Would be hard to prove.
Hopefully, the rolling out of this case will help bring other victims to come forward.
The thing I'm really interested as this plays out, with all the other stuff that we mentioned, is the reaction from society around like the gender, how this is very different. When these cases involve particularly men being assaulted, which are even more rare than the statistics you shared, people's responses are going to be different.
Oh yeah,
right. But some of those responses will also feel similar to the hell that I think women have to go through and have to endure when they also are now speaking up. Some of it is going to be very different, and some of it is going to be similar. We don't want to believe victims, right? And I think they're going to weaponize his gender in ways to discredit the victim. So my point is, like, victims consistently get discredited, and I'm wondering how the gender is going to play in that conversation.
Yeah, so there's going to be conversation around, you're a man, why couldn't you just fight this other man off?
Right.
Why wouldn't, how could this possibly not ended up in a physical altercation, blah, 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 blah. There's all going to be all of those things.
Which I think is going to address a lot of the toxic masculinity stuff that I think we have talked about on this show, that we have endured in our own personal experiences being queer men, and then like, where is that, and where's your proximity to maleness? I think all of this brings all of that up, which I'm just interested to see how it plays into it. Right. So
the response is more about the salaciousness, about the queerness of Tyler, and not the outright
assault and the violence that has been named. Absolutely.
The harassment, the abuse of power.
Absolutely.
Because, honey, the things that are mentioned in this thing, I was like, who is your HR? Why is HR not stepping in? I was like,
you have no mention of that.
How does HR not know that you're hiring? How does HR doing incoming hiring and like?
Are they working from home all the time?
And like,
they're just stuck in their apartment.
I looked up Tyler Perry Studios HR, and this little young white lady, I don't think she knows. She don't look like somebody that's going to tell Tyler, you know what? You need to not hire this person,
Miss Barbara,
or you need to pay this person and let them go. You need to give them a severance. Derek Dixon is laying out is that Tyler Perry controls everything that has to do with Tyler Perry Studios, and Tyler Perry Studios is named in this case. So as a organization, they are responsible for not allowing this one man to have full control over all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. I'm hoping they go to trial, because if they go to trial and they get a guilty verdict, this sets precedents for other civil cases to come forward. And so this $260 million lawsuit could be a drop in the bucket to Tyler. But if this is happening rampantly the way this deposition says, I think more victims will come forward.
Particularly if there's any footage that ever comes out, that's what I think the thing is going to blow up. And not for nothing, it would be devastating. And it would be devastating, particularly to all the good he has done, which is something I hate when we discover these champions of fill in the blank, and they do all of this great work, and their philanthropic hands, their good-heartedness reaches so many communities, and then you gonna do this. I want justice. Listen, I'm all about justice. I believe that karma don't miss no address. So what you need to get, what you gonna get is what you gonna get, because you put that shit out there and it's coming back to you. It's gonna find you. So I'm all about that. And the backlash isn't just going to be the reputation of this billionaire. It is going to be the suffering of all of these people who did work for you, who did allow you to control them with golden handcuffs and paychecks and perks.
And I just want to remind people that two things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely.
Two things can be true at the same time.
And that will be true.
He could have been doing all of this great work to pay Black actresses the money that they deserve and give them projects so they can be paid well in a way that they deserve. And he could have been abusing people.
Yes.
I just want to do a brief, what our stances are. As far as I'm concerned about this Diddy guilty verdict, whatever this curse, I believe victims first. I believe both these men did all of these things. I don't believe that people would lie about these things for no reason.
Yep.
There is no logical reason for these people to ruin their lives, expose their lives, expose them to public scrutiny, because that's what we do to victims. No other reason other than this actually happened to them.
Yeah, I think we lean way too heavy on the innocent to proven guilty, because don't get us wrong. There have been tons of cases, yes, where somebody's just trying to get at somebody's pocket for book.
I don't know if there's been tons.
Oh, no. This is me literally leaning into what we've been hearing. Tons of cases, tons of people where, somebody's just trying to get at their pockets. Okay, if I were to go with that, cool. In this particular case, the second I saw with my own eyes this video of him just abusing this girl, there is nothing else I don't need nothing else.
Yeah.
So I'm done, we're finished, and it's not going to be, he made, no. There's no reason why anyone needed to be treated that way. I don't give a shit what she did. She could have talked about your family. She could have spit in your face. That girl you had no business, full stop, ever doing that to her. And you want me to believe then that you didn't mean no harm, you didn't do da-da-da-da-da. No. I believe everything. So for me, that destroys all of that notion of well, how do we know she was just trying to get at this? No. Because just what you said, right? First of all, we should be believing victims. But even if you don't, when they put 2 + 2 in front of you, it's 4, baby, and that's it.
Listen, where I am standing on all of this is I believe victims first, and if for me to not believe them, you have to show me proof.
Period.
You're going to have to show me the proof that this man did not do this, because everything is pointing to he did.
Neon air signs.
Everything is pointing
blinking arrows
to both these men's. Men's.
Come on. Come on.
A little high. That both these men did this. I don't have a doubt about this. This reminds me of a conversation that I had years ago with an old college friend and an old high school friend. We were on Facebook. We were all having these conversations. And I think a case like Cosby came up. And there was this whole for and against. And I had a male college friend that was a Cosby apologizer, was like, oh, no, he didn't do it, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
These are just accusations. And I was just like, I don't understand how you could say that with all of these women. He was like, from his perspective, it was from his experience, because he experienced it being falsely accused of sexual assault. And had told this story and all these things. And it was terrible. And because he was a black man, it made him vulnerable. He was, he had been accused of all these different things. By the skin of his teeth, he missed a conviction. He was able to prove that this is a thing that did not happen, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. However, that does not change my stance of believing victims. I understand that this was your experience. I hate that this was your experience. I understand that it's very possible that these experiences happen. But I take your story and I put it next against all of the women in my life that have experienced sexual assault.
And never said a thing.
People that are in my life that I know have experienced sexual assault, that have not said a thing, and the people that did say a thing and were not believed. So I have to weigh those things together. And so my stance will always be, I believe victims first until you can prove to me otherwise. And don't give me, well, they were found innocent. Let's stop pretending like we believe that the justice system, American justice system, is always just.
And that part right there. So yes, we know they have used that the justice system has been used to has been used abusively to put men in jail who didn't do things that said they were there. We're not denying any of that. I think what you're getting at is, I'm so sorry that happened to that person that you know. And at the same time, I hate to say this, and I say this about the things that I experience as well. Whatever we experience personally is what we experience personally. But what we experience personally does not dictate truth for everything else and everyone else around us. And I say that as someone who holds dear his own personal experience. My experiences do not dictate the experiences of everyone else. You said it. For every 1,000 cases, only 57 people get arrested. We're talking about 9,943 people don't get any kind of justice. So
arrest is not even justice.
Right.
Even less than that. Like from that 57, 11 are referred to for prosecution. And out of that 11, only 7 of those 1,000 reports turn into a conviction. And that conviction you said conviction. That the sentencing still might not be just. Right.
All of them don't necessarily go to jail. The conviction could be the conviction, and then the person can still walk scot-free, time served. Some just idiotic things. So my point is, as a former math teacher, the math tells us, how dare we not believe victims?
The math is not mathing, period.
Right. So how dare we not? Even if we've been a victim, even if we have suffered an injustice, in one hand, how dare we not believe victims?
All right. So with all of that said, I think it's time for us to pull back the curtain.
Now come on, pull us back, because we had me in them trenches, baby. I was getting hot. I was getting pissed.
All of this brings me to thinking about the concept of consent. And how all of these people that are being accused are artists. And we think about how different artists throughout time have used their art to construe the idea of consent. I want us to make sure that we are thinking of a full definition of consent.
I love that. I think this is going to help ground our conversation
Right.
moving forward.
And so before we think about consent, we must think about the acronym that has been used by Planned Parenthood years ago.
We love you, Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood, out of a understanding that so Planned Parenthood gives all kinds of sexual health services, everything from abortion to STD treatment.
Oh God, yes, to
STD referrals.
Mental health and wellness. They deal with that. Gender affirming care.
Affirming care. They have all of those things, but they started realizing that a lot of their care came from victims of sexual assault.
Ain't that something?
And so they started realizing that a part of their education format, they started to form an understanding or teach a class around consent. And in that teaching that class, they gave an acronym, F.R.I.E.S. So F.R.I.E.S, F.R.I.E.S, stands for freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific.
Say that one more time, because I think this is so dope. When you shared this with me, like I thought this was this is so great.
Without having these elements, these 5 elements, you don't have a full concept of consent. In order for consent to happen, all of these elements need to be presented. So let's go through the letters. So freely given, F, meaning they were not manipulated, they were not coerced, they're not being blackmailed, they're not being threatened, and they're not being held down. Like all of these things involve freely given.
I love that it starts with this. Like it absolutely should start with this. And I just want to point out, like you can clearly, as we go through these, I love how this was created and framed with women in mind, particularly because I just wanted to point out that 1 in every 3 women in this country have gone to a Planned Parenthood location because to get some kind of care that they thought they wouldn't get, even if they had health care, even if they had other doctors' offices they can go to. 1 in 3 women, and it's been reported that overwhelmingly they said they went there just to experience the kind of care and the kind of respect that they wouldn't get even if they had access to health care in other places. So I loved how this was framed and created with women in mind.
Yes. So freely given also brings me to another point. We need to think about, can someone freely give consent if they are intoxicated?
Right.
Consent cannot be fully given if they're intoxicated or if they're unconscious. We came from the era that sexual assault was centered around the word no. That someone had to say no.
And if they couldn't say no, then is it their fault? Oh, so it is your fault that you put, and that's where the victim blaming and victim shaming comes in.
Like, but she didn't say no. She didn't
say anything.
Right. She didn't say anything. Right. And so we were from the era where, because that person didn't say no, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So reversible. So the person at any time needs to be able to change their mind.
And that also became a sticking point. It's like, well, she said yes in the beginning, or he said yes in the beginning. And then I remember even the same era. Did you change your mind? And it's like, at first people were like, well, but you already said yes. And then, thank God, some people, no. If it's freely given, I should be able to.
Right. It's no longer consent if the person changes their mind. If that person is like, nah, I don't.
If they give it, they can take it back.
If they can give it, they can take it back. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Informed. So the person needs to know what they are getting into. Like, what are you saying yes to? Who are you saying yes to?
Right.
You know what? It was something interesting I learned from one of the pieces of media that I'm going to talk about today. Is that it gives? I learned that in the UK, you cannot have sex with someone under an assumed name.
So I can't be like out here like, yo, I'm Rico.
No, it's against the law.
Shut up. I can't even like role play. Like I can't. So if I was role playing with my boo,
you can say this is not my real name, but you can't use a different name and have that person believe that is your name.
What if it's a nickname? What if Rico's like short for Ricardo?
If that is right, if that's your name, if that's related,
then I'm okay.
If that's related to your name, if that's a name that you use,
but if my legal name was like Tyrone, but I'm going by Rico, I'm a mess right now.
Right. If someone if that person says, "What is your real name?" and you say Rico,
Oh, you just lied.
You just lied.
Oh shit.
So that is illegal in the UK.
That is like grounds for
you can have anonymous sex. You can say, I don't want to give my name. And if that person agrees to having sex with you without
it was freely given.
It was freely given.
Gotcha.
Because they're informed. But if they're like, hey, what's your name? Bob. If you are withholding something from a person that information they would otherwise say no, that is sexual assault. They're not giving full consent.
Period.
Okay. Enthusiastic.
Oh, okay.
Enthusiastic. It is not, you cannot give full consent with someone that's like, okay.
Like, right. You can't put them into duress.
Yeah, right.
Like, you want to do this? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
They're just saying, okay. If that's not enthusiastic, that is a reasonable understanding that this person does not want to do this thing with you.
Right.
Specific. Okay?
I like that.
Consent for one activity does not imply consent for others.
Oh, say that again. I live for that.
Consent for one activity does not imply consent for others.
Right.
So everything that you want to do during this act or exchange has to be continuously asked. You need to keep asking all of these different things. Like, I read something that was, there was like all of these tips for men during sex. And one of the number one tips was don't spit on or slap anything without asking first.
Yep. Do not pull one of your favorite porn memories out of your brain and then just enact it.
Yeah.
It will get you like.
And I think I think that is a full like breakdown of what consent is. And I just want to, I think we can get into it, but I just really wanted to like keep that in mind as we think about how these different artists or art has been used to misconstrue or subvert our ideas of what a full concept of consent is, and that these pieces of art that do it really, really well, that really portray without like, core-balling it, after school special in it.
But it's funny that you say that because when we think about some of these movies all of this content and media that deal with violence or struggle or into just problems in relationship to one another, how consent, I think, has always played a part in all of these stories. I think that's the thread that ties all these together. I think you're right. Some of these stories, some people, like with any other medium, with any other genre or topic, they do it well, they do it wrong. It can be exploitive, right? But it's there in each and every one of them.
Yeah. There's art that either consider, we did do it. I was recording. I'm just high and I didn't remember. There's art that considers consent and there's art that does not consider consent.
And a lot of times it's intentional, right?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that what I'm going to remember in any conversation that I have with people around consent is don't forget the F.R.I.E.S.
Don't forget the F.R.I.E.S.
That was so dope.
You got to make sure you don't forget the F.R.I.E.S. So you want to let's talk about the moments that we were like, wow, this, like you either go back or you're watching something and you were like, so we just not going to talk about how there was no consent in that scene or nothing. Yes. That's not a thing that we're going to talk about right now. Okay,
so we all right. So this is what we're going to talk about 3. I got a good 3. I think you got a good 3 of like where they just consent was like thrown out the window.
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, we just not going to talk about that at all.
Okay. So I feel like you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go first.
Okay. So I was like in my, what I call my Hey Ya bag. So the song Hey Ya, right? And how we all love this song. And it took like everybody a year.
I love that you brought a song in this. Yes.
To remember, like to know that this song was actually kind of sad and kind of messed up in many ways. It's talking about a really bad breakup, like, but we all bop into it. I love songs that do that, where you're just like, you too busy bopping to it, but when you listen to them lyrics, you're like damn, right? Like I love Human Nature, but when I listen to the lyrics, I'm like, ooh, this is a lot. So when I think of like a movie that got consent kind of fucked up, my first movie I thought of was a Disney movie.
Ooh, tell me which one, because I think I have the same Disney movie.
Okay, maybe it's not.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Shrek.
Oh, Oh, I wasn't thinking of the same
I
one.
immediately went to Princess Fiona and like how her dad had just locked her in this tower without asking her because she carried this disease or quote unquote disease, which stunted her from really understanding anything about relationships, things about herself, parts of her identity, just because he could not deal with it. But it became this huge plot device. And so I got some deeper ones, but I like this one right here. Like, that has always bothered me about that story. And and I think there's other times where it plays out. It's like she was made to make the choice of who she wanted to be in front of everyone. It became the spectacle. And then the whole time you have men, Lord Farquaad, trying to tell her, this is how I want you to be. You need to be over here. So it really was the struggle. So once she kind of broke out of that, it was the struggle, yes, for her to kind of find herself. But to me, the whole thing started with her being denied to just be free.
Okay. I think I love. Listen, I'm so glad you put that in there.
No, I love Shrek.
That's not. I love Shrek. I mean, they didn't do that well, and I was excited because I thought one of your picks was a song because I definitely have a song as one of my picks of media.
Oh my God. Okay.
So,
okay.
All right, so
okay.
I'm gonna do my song. Do you remember a group called Next?
Oh, if you gonna give me what I think you gonna give me.
They had a little song that all of us was singing, was tearing that song up, called Too Close.
Ain't getting kind of close. I feel a little poke coming through on you. You just help me. You know you can help me. Right, we was all bopping.
And we was all bopping. And this girl is telling him, get off of me. And he was like, no.
His dick is getting hard all on her. That's why it's called Too Close.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
No.
Once I really zeroed in on what this song was saying, I was like, oh, this is terrible.
This is horrible.
This is a mess.
I can't do it at all.
All right, give me your next one.
Oh my God. Of course, we have not bashed this enough, but I just can't anymore. And I just went back to, I'm just going to put out there, I think Queer as Folk is horrible. And I speak particularly, especially, I'm talking about the old one. It is horrible, horrible, horrible when it comes to consent. There's a lot of grooming in there. There's a lot of images throughout the season where people are doing things without informing other people, setting them up in these weird, messed up situations, using drugs to abuse them, to take away their free will, as like it's not. And they take it to the point where they want to show you this isn't just fun and fantasy, like there is some downside to it, and they show you that in the later seasons. It's just not good. I hate that the homies in our generation, because I get it. At the time, it was one of the few, if not the only, well, it was definitely one of the more prominent shows. But in order to get this really great insight and fun and sexy insight into queer culture, they came up with this platform. It could have gone to so many places, but I just think it didn't hold up well for me even then. I'm watching a lot of just consent being thrown out the window in the name of making a sexy episode or a plot twist. Like, I hated it. So that was me, Queer as Folk. Throw that shit out.
So I'm going to go with a show that was a little more recent. There's an element there that is in this show that, there's a lot of salacious and weird things that happens on the show that ends up in the news. But I feel like this particular scene in and of itself was like really like in your face there, but nobody really talked about it. I'm talking about season 3 of White Lotus. Have you heard about all this?
What? You can't talk to me now.
So season 3 of White Lotus, all over the internet, there was this whole like buzz around this incest scene that happens with
Child, well, I did not keep going. What the hell I'm saying?
Patrick Schwarzenegger from season 3 of White Lotus is in a scene with I believe his name is Sam Nivola.
Okay.
Yes, Sam Nivola. They play brothers. They go, they're at this wild night with these other 2 women on a boat. They start drinking, doing drugs, blah, 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 blah. And at some point, Patrick Schwarzenegger's character wakes up to his brother performing a hand job on him.
Girl.
While his brother is having sex with his other woman. and his brother's reaching over and so he wakes up to realizing that he is being touched by his brother.
Right.
And so they go through this whole like thing, blah, 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 blah. And the show becomes about incest, like, oh, you and your brother, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, we didn't. And then both of them didn't remember. And then suddenly they're remembering, blah, 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 blah. All of these things are happening.
Drama.
And incest is all of this conversation. And I was just like, I don't think we're having the conversation that was sexual assault. That was a sexual situation that happened.
So people were too hung up on the whole
incest, but no one even identified that was sexual assault. They were like, oh, well, the brother didn't remember either. And I was like, yes, but still, that is sexual assault.
What the hell?
He was like, neither one of them remembered. And I was like, whether they both remembered or not.
No,
that person,
that's besides the point.
That person was assaulted. That person was.
It kind of goes back to how we just keep glorifying some of this stuff by skating over it. Yeah.
Well, I think people don't understand that even there's a little bit of our everyday lives that exist, that a sexual assault exists, but we don't see it as sexual assault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know how in sports when like athletes are just slapping each other on the butt, that's sexual assault, guys. Remember when
legally speaking, we're not talking about intentionality. I'm not talking about any of that.
I'm not even talking about
on the basis of definition. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I said meant when I said legal. I'm like on the basis of definition.
The basis of definition. We're not talking about whether you can go to jail for that or not.
No.
What we're talking about.
But I'm saying on the basis of definition, that's what it is.
There's a level of socially acceptable sexual assault, and it's a sad thing to say, but there is a level of sexual assault that is socially acceptable. It's terrible, but we need to be aware of that. I also like sometimes, like not for nothing, we do need to be aware of this. I also want to bring in this idea of intentionality, right? And I don't think, and this is just me, right? Like, for example, you playing football, playing a game, and athletes like smack each other on the butt. I think you bring up a really interesting point because I feel like there was a level, like when I did play sports, like there was a level of camaraderie there. I never felt uncomfortable. In fact, I felt like, I can't even think about it. I felt like it was a push. I felt like somebody was like, yeah, like giving me that inspiration. And I'm not saying that I should always pay attention to how people are, touching me or embracing me in that way. I wonder if there is an element of like intentionality here, because I feel like when I see, for example, my students, or I see or even like when my bro would hit me in my shoulder, or like if people that I'm comfortable with, they're like, oh, you working out, and they like would grab and squeeze my chest. Right.
Like by definition, that's is sexual assault. Like but at the same time, I think it's funny. Like we're just being silly, and I feel connected.
At the same
I don't think that's because I'm feeling like I'm numbing myself to something.
Right.
But I feel like there has to be an intentionality with this.
I don't think it's a numbing yourself. I think there's a cultural shift that has to happen for us, that we have to, just like we need to stop assuming pronouns. We need to stop assuming consent. And
fair.
Yeah,
because even in that, some people don't like that, what I just expressed. Some people don't like that. You're right.
Even that's a thing that you may be comfortable with, and that's a thing that in that situation, we have assumed consent.
Because we can.
Because we can.
There's all these other things that come into play.
Yeah. There are other things that come into play, but we need to start realizing that to some level, when we allow environments for assuming consent, we allow an environment where someone can be sexually assaulted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, period. That's all that is.
No, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
All right, so
I do have one more.
Go ahead.
And I love that you put in a song, because I have another song too. Real quick.
Go ahead. One more.
Girl, Blurred Lines.
Yeah, Blurred Lines. Absolutely. Yep.
Like Robin Thicke's biggest hit.
Yeah.
But from jump, you like, what? I know you own it. I'm a bust that, like I can't.
And
that's
right.
about.
I'm gonna do my
one.
one more. So I did my song, I did my show, and I have one movie.
Ooh,
I have one movie.
Give me the movie.
I'm gonna go to my Disney movie.
You got a Disney movie too?
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty.
Absolutely.
Sleeping Beauty
is fucked up.
She's unconscious, y'all. She didn't say that kiss was okay.
But we loved it for years. For years, it was like, here comes the man to save her. And without asking, I'm going to kiss her.
Nah, no.
And she wake up just as smiling and happy. That's some bullshit.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's some, oh my God.
They'd be like, but she was dead. No. She also could not give consent. Let's talk about some things that do consent really, really well.
Yes. I love this.
I love that our modern day culture is shifting, like younger generations are shifting into a more young men are getting an understanding of what consent is.
Yes.
So there's a show that I want to point out that the first time I saw this and I was like, oh wow, this show really continuously has sexual situations with women being asked for consent and then giving it.
Mm-hmm.
Insecure.
Oh, absolutely.
So many times over and over again, like in all of these scenes, there's all of these different situations where romantic and beautiful, fulfilling sex scenes, you're seeing an exchange between a man asking a woman for consent and she giving it. And such beautiful, like sexy and like fun and like fulfilling ways. Like it did it so well so many times.
It really, and it allowed the men to show up differently. Mm-hmm. And I think it allowed for more layers. It allowed for more great examples of like, this is what like just effective communication can look like inside of these moments. They don't have to be so like, we getting hot and heavy. Okay, hey, I want to take off my pants now. Can I take off your pants now? I feel like they dialogued it in a way like this is what grown, beautiful Black people, you can do all of this at the same time and it still be fun. Sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's awkward, but it never disappeared, right? Like it always felt.
There's a scene where they're at a music festival and Issa's character and another male character are like trapped on a carousel together, and like they are like deciding that it's going to be a little more than that. And as it progresses, he just says, tell me what you want me to do to you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, he's asking for consent. And he's not
going
to make I'm not going to make decisions. You make the decisions. What is it that you
But
want
I'm going to say it in such a way that's like, it's a turn on. It's flirty.
Such these beautiful, beautiful different ways. Do you have a...
I do, because I think it's great. I think I think a good compliment to the Insecure is I'm going to bring up Survival of the Thickest.
Ooh.
And I love this because I love the main character is very, first of all, I love that she's so free in her sexuality that she talks about it, she riffs on it. We get to see it in full display and it's funny and it's silly. There's a few times in the show where it seems like the moment is going to go there, but then for whatever reasons, too much liquor, I'm not feeling well, feelings, emotions, it doesn't. And the other person isn't devalued for making that choice.
Right.
So the idea of reversal without having to explicitly say, like, I don't want to do this anymore, allowing the circumstances to inform you that we're going to change courses here. And it was all well accepted. And I was like, this is like, I love that. And it just allowed this character who I see, still wrestling with her own humanity, but being free in a way like there's no attention dragged down on that because she can't be who she is.
We're running short on time, so I want to get a couple of more.
Let's hustle.
All right, so I have a cartoon.
What you got?
Steven Universe, of course.
Absolutely.
So
stop playing in my face.
Steven Universe in the discussion around merging.
Yes.
And discussions around merging is a discussion around consent, around asking permission to do this thing. It absolutely is a metaphor for sex for small children.
I want to we got to throw in Heartstoppers. And I say particularly, I love to point out visually what they have done anytime any of those young people had engaged in any kind of sexual activity. It was always treated with care and with thoughtfulness.
I want to add a couple of more things where I'm going to run through my list and just name them without like saying, because I want to name some things that we've never named before.
Yeah.
So I want to throw in sex education.
Yes.
As a positive way.
Absolutely.
Actually, sex education was a beautiful show. Definitely talks about consent, healthy ways.
Yep.
The movie Frozen is one of the Disney movies that actually has the male character asking the princess to kiss her before he kisses her.
Yes, that is right. I absolutely agree with that one. Love that one.
And then we got Boomerang. I think the movie Boomerang, yes, Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Robin
Givens doesn't show healthy consent, but it flips the idea of you can understand that this isn't consent if you put a man in this position of sexual harassment and sexual pressure or assault. And
like the switching of the gender roles and allowing women to be in a position of power, because Robin Givens' character was like, she was kind of in control of herself the whole time. Like, she played with
it gave a
Eddie.
whole generation of black men like an idea of like, oh, now we know what you mean.
Now we know
by
what you
sexual
mean.
assault.
And they made a fabulous film out of it.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
That's
Great. Those are mine. Like,
those are mine.
I'm good.
All right, so we got to get out of here.
Yeah, we do.
I think that was a great show. I think we gave you some great choices. I think we did a great job of, let's start making sure we're considering consent when we watch the things that we watch.
Absolutely. And please don't forget the fries, y'all.
Don't forget the fries. What do you want to tell the people?
I want to tell the people, while you out here in the world, be good or be good at it.
And I want you to know that you are enough just as you are. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.